Do you remember a time where you just felt so close to God? Maybe you were caught up in an experience of worship where you were just so conscious of His glory you just wanted to stay in that place forever. The journey of Lent this year brings us to Mark's account of the Transfiguration of Jesus. I encourage you to spend some time alone prayerfully reading and reflecting on this passage. Mark opens with the words, after 6 days. 6 days after what? If we read chapter 8, we learn that Peter has just recognised who Jesus is. He's confessed Jesus as the Christ, the Messiah. It's following this confession that Jesus begins to talk with his disciples about his death and resurrection. Peter rebukes Jesus for speaking of such things, and in return, Jesus rebukes Peter, telling the devil to get behind him. You see, Jesus was going to do things God's way, not the easy way. 6 days later, Jesus led Peter, James and John up a high mountain to a place where they were all alone. There on the mountain, Jesus was transfigured before them. His clothes became dazzling white, whiter than anyone in the world could have bleached them. And then Moses and Elijah appeared alongside Jesus, and they were talking with him. Can you imagine, even for a moment, what it was like to be there with Peter, James and John, witnessing Jesus in all his glory? And then you're joined by Moses and Elijah. There they are, 3 of them speaking together. How would you feel? What would you say? Peter says, Lord, let's build 3 tents here. It's like he's saying, Lord, let's settle down. Let's stay in this place forever. Then a cloud envelops them, and the voice of God speaks from the cloud. This is my son whom I love. Listen to him. Suddenly, as they looked around, they no longer saw anyone with them except Jesus. There comes a time in life where all the glory is stripped away, and there's just you and Jesus. And so the time comes to head back down the mountain. Tell me, when they got to the bottom, what did they find? They returned to a scene of absolute chaos, with the other disciples trying to cast a demon out of a possessed child. You know, there comes a time in each of our lives where we need to come down that mountain and follow Jesus into the messiness of life. Follow him along the road to Jerusalem, the road that leads to death. As we travel through this season of Lent, of preparation, there's a sense in which we can only fully grasp the reality of Easter, the reality of resurrection, when we're willing to follow Jesus back down the hill and into the chaos. Here are some questions to ponder. Sit with them. Talk about them amongst yourselves. Share them in your small groups. When have you experienced the glory of God? This Lenten season, are you just wanting to bask in that glory, or are you ready to count the cost of following Jesus? What if God's command to listen to Jesus wasn't just for these 3 disciples, but for all of us? What might Jesus be saying to you during this season of Lent? What might you need to do? Who might you need to tell?